our experience interacting with the FDA has been like in our particular division of FDA OHD5, which I can't speak to other groups, but like many of them trained in the same labs as we did as PhD students. They want to see devices go to market, and they're trying, I legitimately think they're trying hard to make things happen, but they like fundamentally they're bound by statute and they're bound by administrative mandates. And so it's like they can't change things unilaterally, and it has to be a societal decision to make changes. Even much of it's statutory, so even from administration to administration, it's not even like, oh, okay, like Trump's in, he's just going to get rid of it all regulation. No, that isn't the case. So I think I feel like it's
no, I think the regulators are on the same page as us completely. I mean, for example, I think you got this too, like breakthrough designation and this TAP program and all these things. So like, we interact with the FDA a lot at our company. And the regulators absolutely want to see these technologies like get to market. And, one thing that we've elected to do as a company is that we're going to Australia for our first clinical trial because you can just go there a lot faster and cheaper. And there's all these incentives to go do that. And then the FDA accepts that data as valid input data for, certain submissions that you can do with them. So, I give the FDA credit for something like that, where they allow external outside of US data to be fed into FDA submissions, because they also recognize that you can go do things faster in other places, and that for a company, it makes sense to do that. And so, that's something positive that they've.
Since you both are kind of at the point of starting to run trials, I think it's a good to start with, like, okay, what is Phantom Neuro? What is Paradromics?
Oh, yeah, we forgot that part.
Let's just get right into it, right? But then also explain, like, so what is it that you are looking for in the trial? And from your perspective, I just, Eli Lilly's CEO was just on Cheeky Pint and talking about just the ridiculous costs of trials. So what is it, what made you go to Australia specifically? What was it the cost here that's actually a barrier?
Phantom Neuro is creating a control system for people with limb disabilities to be able to control things like robotic prosthetic limbs. So we're starting with the initial indication of use for upper limb prosthetics, robotic upper limb prosthetics. And so we've created a subcutaneous, meaning under the skin, implant that goes under your skin and your residual limb or your injured limb that records electrical activity from your muscles. So every time you move your fingers, your muscles kind of flex and expand. Every time they do that, they generate electricity just like your brain does. And so you can apply artificial intelligence to decode that electrical activity into what you're trying to do. So an amputee, for example, tries to move their phantom appendage that's no longer there, and their muscles still move, and then we decode that activity and tell a robotic hand and wrist to do what it is that they're trying to do. So functionally, it operates just like an intact limb. And so we're doing our first clinical trial next year. And again, like I said, we elected to go to Australia. And a lot of that has to do with how much preclinical testing you have to do to either do an early feasibility trial in the US versus an early feasibility trial in Australia. And it's that preclinical testing that's extremely expensive and can take a really, really long time. And so Australia, in our opinion, takes a much more common sense approach to it to say, okay, what do you really need to demonstrate in order to show that this is safe and worth putting in a human in order to, do an early exploratory trial? Mm-hmm. Whereas with the FDA, it can be much more prescriptive, where it's like, here are the list of preclinical testing that you have to do regardless of what you are and regardless of how much time. There's not much common sense applied to it. And so we can go to Australia.
It's process driven rather than outcome driven.
Right, exactly. And like, and with Australia, it really is a case by case where there's like a local IRB board, a board of people that approve research studies that look at it together and then make that determination, rather than going to like the central FDA equivalent in Australia and having them do that. So you can ultimately go much faster. But then also Australia offers like a tax incentive for people to come and do research studies there, where they give you a lot of money back for R&D dollars spent. So you can move faster, you can save a ton of money doing it, and then you can take that data and feed it into the FDA to get approval for US clinical trials.